everyone, it's Michelle Gilmartin here, and today I'm going to be just doing a quick little technique Tuesday on how to use some of your decorative stitches in your machines to maybe do binding on your quilts or just to add a little bit more interest to anything that you might want to top stitch in any way. Kind of gives maybe a little crazy quilt kind of look. So today I'm on the Luminaire, but literally there are hundreds of decorator stitches on almost any sewing machine anymore, and we never use them. So I kind of experimented a little bit. I've just been kind of playing around. I'm using cotton thread today, and I'm using a little technique that I love to do when I get the opportunity to play with the decorative stitches, and that is run 2 strands of thread through the eye of the same needle. I'm using a 90 top stitch needle. It's got a big eye in it, so it kind of lets the thread pass, pretty easily through it. I've got the same thread top and bottom, and continuing on with my love affair with variegated threads, I'm using variegated for this project as well. Some of you may recognize the cupcake from the multi-needle class we had the other day, and so I thought I would use this as a quick project to just put binding on. In this case, if I'm going to use decorative stitches, I want the front of the binding to be where my focal point is, so I will attach it to the back and fold it over. Normally, I don't hand stitch. I usually will use like even a little blanket stitch, but this time I'm going to use a feather stitch. I went through a lot of testing of stitches, and essentially when you're going to do a decorative stitch, I think for something like this, you want to pick that which is simple. Like this one would have been great, except for it was really wide. This one was just a little bit too much thread for me. This one I loved, so this one's, and again, your machine may not have these exact stitches, but it's going to have something. Here was a really interesting blanket stitch that had like 2, it went twice, but I came back to, I just love the feather stitch. So that's what I'm going to use on this. And I'm also going to use one of my very favorite feet, which is a bi-level foot, the Brother bi-level foot, because if you turn it over, there's a really deep ridge on that side. It comes in a bi-level left and a bi-level right. And you have probably heard me talk about these feet a million times because I use them for sewing bag straps and anything like that I really want a perfectly straight 1/8 of an inch seam allowance on. But in this case, that little toe right there is going to glide right over where my fold is for my binding, helping me to stay straight on top, as I'm doing my pretty stitch. So I'm going to go ahead, and I've got a 90 top stitch needle, if I didn't mention that already. Big eye, 2 strands. And then I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and move the camera so that you can see that. I did make a few changes to my stitch as I was testing it out. And that is, this is in category 9 on the Luminaire, but it might be in a different category on the others. It is the one that is adjustable, because sometimes the stitches are adjustable, sometimes they're not. And cancel. I have the width set to 6.5. I have the length set to 4.3, and I adjusted my tension just a little bit. So I'm going to start with putting the foot down in the corner there. When you use a decorative stitch, it's not going to land exactly in the corner, so you just kind of have to accept that. When you turn a corner, whoops, do you want to see the back? You want to see the front, huh? When you turn a corner, it may not be perfect. You can still turn the corner, but it might not be 100% perfect. This is a chain stitch. If you really want perfect, you maybe want to try that one. But there's a lot of other ones on there, and I really like the way the little feather stitch looks. So I'm going to start out slow. All right, so I know, look at how fun that is already. I know that when I want to turn, I have to turn when the needle is the far over to the right as it gets. So I want to kind of watch for that as I get close to the corner over there. And hopefully it'll be right where I need it. If not, I might be a couple of stitches off. It's part of the, you may not get it perfect. If you have the Luminaire, you might even try this using your end point sticker. I think I'm going to be okay though. So I'm going to pivot here. I did actually use a little steam seam and put my binding in place. There would be a lot of different ways you could do this. You could also use the left-right shift on your machine and move this stitch over, where you could still utilize the little divot in the foot and then have more of the stitch show onto the cupcake fabric. But I'm happy with just having it right on the edge. Remember, on this stitch, I have to watch and see to pivot when it's all the way to the right. The nice thing is my right bi-level foot actually stays nestled in that fold by where the binding is, and it keeps me on track, so I don't have to worry too much. Really handy foot in a lot of different situations. I've actually done zippers with this one as well. All right, coming up. Ooh, I'm almost done. And I like this variegated thread. It picks up some of the other colors in the little project here. Oh, one more I gotta go. On the home stretch. Pedal to the metal, right? And I'm actually going to round this corner so I can kind of try and join it when I get to the other side. Stitch in place. And there's my binding using decorative stitching. Such a fun little technique. That's a feather stitch. Again, you could have used your left-right shift to move it so that part of the feather stitch was on the cupcake and part of the feather stitch was on the binding. But lots and lots of choices. I really don't think there's any machines. Even the most basic machine usually has a feather stitch on it. And then some of the other ones would make great prospects for quilt binding. Some of them would make great prospects for decorating other things. So hopefully I've inspired you to get those decorative stitches going on a project.